Welcome to the Fantasy Football Profit Podcast, hosted by Craig Phillips and Jeff Torrey. Visit us at fantasyfootballprofit.com. And now your hosts, Craig and Jeff.
Welcome, everyone, to the Fantasy Football Profit Podcast. I'm Craig Phillips, joined as always by Jeff Torrey. And again, we're getting you ready for 2022. 2021's in the past. We're already into 2022. Who cares, right? If you won your championship, great. Awesome. Good job. If you lost, who cares? It's in the past. Those people that are still celebrating that one, don't even worry about them. Like John, who cares, right? Yeah, who cares? It's in the past. Let's get on to 2022. Let's start the prep now. Let's get you ready because we're all going to be better next year, right? We know what to do now, Jeff. We know how to identify the breakouts that we should have had this year. So today we have breakouts, one per position. Later on in the year, we're going to take a few months off like we do January, February-ish. Not much goes on then. But we'll start identifying more breakouts as you get in past free agents, past the draft, that kind of stuff. So stick around with that. We'll have a lot more players for you. But today, one per position. Let's start it off at quarterback, Jeff. I think this is actually probably, to me, this was the not as deep to find a breakout in my mind. There are a couple options, but who'd you go with?
People might argue that he had such a big end of the year that they might argue that he already broke out, but I kind of disagree because he was kind of stuck in the middle with a ton of guys. So I think because he finished so strong, and I'm talking about Joe Burrow, I think he is going to be my breakout. He's at the correct age. He has the right weapons. Chase has turned out to be huge. Higgins down the stretch was very, very, very good, which I want to see him continue and do. And then Boyd obviously is good as well. And then you have Mixon. You have everything you need. In the offseason, you could even add add an offensive lineman if they need be, or, whatever, however they want to add to that team, they're doing it the correct way. And what I really love is not only can you get the run game going, but at the end of the year, they said, all right, go get it, young man. And he just dominated the last couple of games. And that is absolutely what I want to see. He was very kind of like methodical. He was very, very, I don't want to say average, is not the right way. He was a very solid start for the majority of the year. Most quarterbacks had up and down. He had a few, I believe in standard, he had like an 11. He had a couple 18s where you don't get to 20. 5 weeks where you probably didn't really want to start him. But the last two going into the 40s, that's what you want to see. And that absolutely can continue because of the weapons he has and because of the upside of talent he has with his arm and his decision making. So, Joe Burrow is going to be that breakout candidate for me. The question will be, can you draft him as a breakout, or do you have to draft him as a top 5 because he might have a lot of heat behind his name? That's going to be the big question. Is he a value pick? So Joe Burrow for me.
That really will be what ends up being the case with him. Where's he go? Right? Where's he go? I think he's still going to go 8 to 10, maybe 7 to 10 at the best. So because that, like, people are going to say, oh, he already broke out. Yeah, he broke out for 2 games. Like, it's only a 2 game. It's 2 awesome games.
Major. But 46 and 42. They really are. And that was coming off like a 15-point performance. So
right. It wasn't that long ago. We had a bunch of the guys from our league on the show. One of them, John, was saying, I'll take my chances with Joe Burrow. I don't care about going against Joe Burrow. That wasn't that long ago. You wouldn't say that today.
And they did in the playoffs.
Yeah, so, you wouldn't say that today. So I'm with you. Joe Burrow would definitely be – he's the traditional, I think, best breakout, right? And, yeah, people are going to – you get the one, oh, he broke out. No, we're talking a different level here. We're talking this guy becomes one of the best, right?
Yeah, and we'll see. I mean, he might not play. We're doing this with 1 week to go. So he might not play. And in that case, I mean, he could finish just outside the top 10. If he played another game, he had a huge one. He jumps into like number 6 spot or something. Sure. But let's be honest, like, he's averaging right now, even after those 2 giant games, 23.89 in standard scoring. I mean, he is right there in the middle of everyone. I mean, you don't start jumping up until you hit like a Tom Brady, Justin Herbert, Josh Allen, and those guys are averaging 26 point something.
Yep.
Right. So he's kind of in the muck with everyone else. It was more of who was healthy and who wasn't. So those last 2 games really got him to that point where he's in the discussion, but is what we needed to see, because before that, we weren't exactly sure. But I mean, was it the talent carrying him? The last 2 games makes me think, no, he is a legit guy. And with those types of weapons, he'll be fine.
So I won't go Burrow, even though I'm fully on board with you 100%. Burrow's the guy. He would be he's probably the best option here. So I'll go with another one. I don't know how many signs or how many, things we saw from him, but I'm going to go with Justin Fields because I think the talent's there. The running ability, the throwing ability, he has it all. The coaching staff holding him back? That's what all of us are wondering, right? No one, I guess, really knows, but he has the tools to be a great fantasy quarterback. And if they get the right coaches in place, he does have good weapons with him. You would think Allen Robinson this year, I don't know what that was. He has Mooney, Kmet, Montgomery, Herbert, a lot of good players around him that I feel like with the right pieces, with the right coaching staff in place, the right game plan, all that, we could see a Justin Fields breakout. We haven't seen a lot to show that yet, but we know that talent's there, right? So Justin Fields, if I have to go down the list, that's probably the next best option. I'm gonna go Justin Fields as a breakout.
I don't hate that one. I worry that maybe next year won't be a big enough jump for him to be fantasy relevant quite yet. But with all the tools you're talking about, you're absolutely correct. I mean, he can run the ball, he can throw it when you give him enough time. I think with a year under his belt, it's going to do this guy a whole lot of help. And you're absolutely correct when you're talking about the weapons. I mean, it's funny that a team that I consider so bad has the kind of weapons you were talking about. And if Allen Robinson if this is just a strange year,
don't know.
I mean, you literally are. It's like you're drafting a number one wide receiver all over again. And Mooney already did it, right? He's good, and I'm a big fan of Cole Kmet as well. So I'm really on board. It wouldn't take a whole lot to turn that team around.
Yep. All right, let's go over to running back. Who do you have at running back?
At running back for breakout, dude, I'm doubling down. I was the biggest Dobbins fan going into the year, but I'm gonna lay myself on the altar of Dobbins again. I think he is going to be the breakout. I think he would have been a monster this year if he didn't have that injury. Does it worry me to pick a guy that had an injury, that he had to miss an entire season? Yeah, it does. But let's be honest. We saw how decimated the Ravens backfield was. And because everyone got hurt, no one had the ability to jump over someone else. Gus Edwards didn't have the ability to demand every single carry because Dobbins wasn't there. So I think we're in the same exact situation because of the crappy luck they had. And Dobbins, if he can get back to, even in the beginning of the year, 90% of what he was going into this year, he's going to be good. He is going to be very good. And I could almost put him as a sleeper because coming off an injury, doing all that, people, they'll remember the name and they'll be like, okay, he's going to be number one. But this guy could be incredibly deadly. So I think he is going to be the breakout.
He was number 2 for me.
Okay.
I'm with you yet. I believe in the injury happened early enough where I feel like he's going to be full go for next year. And they, like you said, they showed they needed him badly. And he could do wonders for Lamar Jackson. So I'm all on board with that. So I went with Javonte Williams, who I believe Melvin Gordon's a free agent after this year. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. If Melvin Gordon does not come back, Javonte Williams could make a huge jump. Probably, without Melvin Gordon, Javonte Williams will be ranked as a top 10 running back. I'm going to put my money on that right now. I like ninth or 10th, like right there at the end of it. But running back 1, he will be ranked as a running back 1, let's say up to 12, right? He'll be ranked as a running back 1 if there's no Melvin Gordon. I'm sure of it. I don't know if that's going to be the case, but this is like banking. Let's say Melvin Gordon's gone. Javonte Williams is going to make a huge jump up, and he showed he can play. So Javonte Williams, I think, will be a good addition next year, a good pickup. But if that's the case, you're going to be drafting him hoping that he breaks out, right? You're going to be drafting him at like a breakout level and not his production level.
Yeah. Yep. I couldn't agree with you more. He was my number 2, and he might show up on another list. I have a feeling the only time will tell, but I have a feeling that there will be another running back in that backfield with him. But I think that talent shined through. I am as high on him as you are. I think the guy is the real deal. So I got nothing else to add. It was Dobbins and him for me. I was like that, real deal talent going into a really good situation.
I won't go too deep in it, but a couple other guys that were just on my short list was Tony Pollard, just because I don't know. He seems to be getting more and more work, and we'll see what happens. And then I believe in Ramondre Stevenson. And this could be, it still could be a split, it could be a timeshare, but it could become more of a timeshare of like a Stevenson Harris timeshare. And like you see around the league, right? Like you saw Javonte Williams and Melvin Gordon. But if Stevenson got into that, that's a step up from where he was at the beginning of the year for sure. And he's shown he can play. So, and one other, this is not going to happen. I really want it to be Rashad Penny. Oh man.
Oh yeah, I know.
We'll see. That is a lot to, there's a lot to figure out there where he goes, what happens. But
I don't hate that one. I think that it very well could be, but once again, probably a split backfield. But he could be very, very useful still.
Yep. All right, let's go receiver. Who do you got?
I'm going to be a homer on this one, 100%. I almost read from the wrong list. Actually.
I'm gonna keep telling you. I already wrote it down, so I'll see if you're right.
No. I almost read from the wrong list. I have all of these on different ones. No, for my breakout, I am going to once again. I feel like I'm doubling down. I love this guy. I didn't say draft him high, but I'm like, watch out for the talent level. And the second half of the year, he really showed out. And it makes me believe the sophomore season is going to be even better. And that's Elijah Moore. I think the guy can flat out ball. And I really wanted to see if Wilson could show me something. He doesn't have to be a good quarterback, but he has to be good enough to get Elijah Moore the ball. And I do think that he is going to fit that bill. I think that they're slowly moving in the right direction. They have a lot of holes to fill, but there will be enough there for Elijah Moore to be fantasy relevant week in and week out. And the guy is just, I don't know. He reminds me of a lot of these other players that came before him that just have swag, and you see him and you're like, oh, he's got it. And I think that he's going to be the real deal. So Elijah Moore from the Jets, I realize not the greatest situation, but I'll take the talent.
He was my pick too. Elijah Moore is my pick. He really showed some stuff there at the end. Like this guy can play. And it was in a bad situation, but he looked great. So Elijah Moore for sure is my pick. There's other guys I like that you could look at, but Elijah Moore was my top for sure.
Yeah, and people will, it's kind of one of those easy ones to forget, but he did like weeks 9 through 13 before he got hurt. He had 5 touchdowns in 5 games, and he was really starting to come on. And that is on a team that couldn't really move the ball. So absolutely have to love him.
Yep, for sure. I'm all on board with Elijah Moore. I could also see some step up from like a Jalen Waddle next year. He had a great year, but I could see him jumping up more. There's other guys like that, but Elijah Moore is really like the true like breakout to me.
Yeah.
Like that's just
Waddle is a very good pick as well. I would never argue with that.
And I'll probably rank Waddle ahead of Moore, but it's not as much of a breakout essentially in a way. He already had a great year. He will be better too. There's some other guys that there's gonna be guys we hope for that aren't gonna be like breakout picks. Like I still believe in Kadarius Toney's talent, but he's not a break. I'm not going to say, oh, this guy's going to break out. He needs a better situation than what he has. So there's other guys like that. So, all right, that's it for those 3. Let's go to the final position, tight end. It's always a little more difficult to predict, I feel like, but who are we looking at? It takes a couple years for these players to be able to work out for us. So this might not be, maybe it doesn't happen this year, but maybe it happens in a couple of years.
Yeah, well, I'm pretty confident in my pick. And once again, people are going to be like, what are you talking about? But tight end is so shallow and such a bad position at the moment that I am going to go with a guy that his breakout is going to be from the back 10 to the top 3, which is a very hard thing to crack. But I went for Kyle Pitts. I realize everyone is going to rank him insanely high, but as far as a breakout, the numbers are going to skyrocket. It's just what is going to happen. He already has a pretty good start as far as yardage. He was able to surpass 1,000 yards, but he only had 1 touchdown. That is going to change. So I think the sky's the limit for this guy. So, breakout, it's not coming from irrelevancy. It's coming from, he's going to finish as like the 7th overall tight end, which for his talent level shouldn't happen. When we're looking at how poorly everyone did, this guy is going to be battling, the George Kittles, Travis Kelce, and Mark Andrews for that type of top tier guy. So it's all of whether or not Atlanta can put anyone else around him. So teams can't just completely try to take him out of the game. The guy's the real deal.
100%. Yeah, he's the breakout here. He's going to become, I believe, that top tier player because Kelsey's not going to be up there for much longer. Travis Kelce, I don't even know, what is he, 32, 33? What is he at? I don't even know anymore. He's getting he's starting to age a little bit. You would say he's 32. He'll be 33 next year. He's not going to be up there at the top forever. I mean, we've seen George Kittle with a few some injury issues. Mark Andrews has been great.
Yeah. Mark Andrews he's probably I think Kelsey is the safest, and then probably Mark Andrews. We've talked about this on our tight end thing.
Kelsey, for next year, I'm still good, but it's going to start to fall off. But Pitts is going to get that level. I saw some comparison. I can't remember exactly the players, but the comparison that put Pitts with like his first year numbers and all this stuff, it was just like he compares to some great players. Like, and people don't even realize this. Like, it just feels, I don't know what it is. It just feels he had such hype that people expected so much, but this was just a great year for a rookie tight end. Absolutely great year for a rookie tight end.
I mean, think about this. He like, no joke, the number difference is going to be about, and Travis Kelce is number 2 only behind Mark Andrews. And Kyle Pitts, with one game to go, who knows who's going to play and who's not going to play. He's going to be about 75 yards behind Travis Kelce. The big difference is he had 1 touchdown. Travis Kelce had 8. So, I mean, that is going to, once again, tight end is going to be, or touchdowns for tight ends will always be the big magnifier. And 7 touchdowns is the thing that catapults you all the way from 7th to 2nd. And I think that his yardage could be way higher than that. Mark Andrews only, he's going to finish probably with just 1,200 yards, maybe 1,300 if he plays last week. That is not a big chasm to jump. So,
yep. All right. My pick. Let's see, I'm going to go off the board. Mm-hmm. I'm actually going to go more of like a deep sleeper type pick, but this is my breakout. And you're going to be like, what the heck?
You're going to take my sleeper, you son of a.
No, this is, I'm going to go. Maybe. I don't know who you have, but this is, I'm going way off the board. I feel like I'm going with Josiah DeGuara, Green Bay Packers.
Yep, you're going way off the board.
I'm going to go way off the board on this. So this should be a sleeper. I'm going to give a little preview for people. I'm going to give a little sleeper preview. But this to me feels just like that classic 3rd year type tight end that finally like becomes something, right? So DeGuara was a 2020 draft pick. He was 3rd rounder. He's drafted fairly high for a tight end, really. 3rd round, he's up there. He didn't play much in his first season. He, I think, had 1 catch actually in 2 games. I remember I looked at the stats earlier. This year he's had 22 catches, 179 yards, a touchdown this year off 29 targets. Something I've been watching a lot of Green Bay games, and I just starting to notice him out there often. It's not translated to anything more than 3 catches in a game yet, but I've been noticing him. I just feel like this is that guy who's going to all of a sudden next year. This happens at tight end all the time, right? You start to notice a player and all of a sudden 3rd year, boom, he becomes something a little more. And I guess we keep always wanting that tight end for Green Bay, right? It doesn't quite always happen. Tanyan, whatever happened a little bit last year. DeGuara is a more talented player than him. And I just feel like I know I'm going off the board, but this is what I'm going to do at tight end for this pick. It's DeGuara. Look out for him. Just keep an eye on this guy. It's probably not going to get to a level where you even draft him next year. I don't see that, but just keep an eye, keep him on your radar and look for a breakout. You know what? He will break out. He's going to break out from wherever he is this year at tight end, but he's like 53rd. He'll break out from there.
It very well could be. Once again, he catches a handful of touchdowns. He'll be in the top 20 for sure. Yeah. So there's no, honestly, the only thing that I will immediately, I was like, it's not going to happen because you said it out loud. It's because every time you want Green Bay to use the tight end, they're like, we'll just throw another one to Devontae Adams. So once again, a lot is going to be shaken up probably in Green Bay too. Maybe not. Maybe we don't know it's a winning game, but no doubt he's a talented player.
Yep. And this is all dependent on Aaron Rodgers being back, which it feels better. I feel like it seems to be trending that way where Rodgers is coming back. Obviously we don't know that, but it just everything feels better, right? Number 1 seed in the NFC. It just seems like things are going in the right way. So I think Rodgers will be back. I think so.
Winning.
Winning cures stuff,
winning
right?
Helps all, yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see. Unless they win the Super Bowl and he decides I'm done. Like you can see Aaron Rodgers doing that too. So that's not crazy, but all right, there we go. There's the breakouts. There's the fun list. Now, next episode, we're going to be back with a bust list, which people just always will be upset with us. So can't wait for that one.
Yeah.
All right. That'll do it. Talk to you guys next time.